game in here!
What's going on, everybody? It's Rifle here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to kill Nexus on the weekly Nightfall strike, which if you can kill him on this strike, you can kill him on any other difficulty. The reason why I'm saying this is because more skulls are activated on this Nightfall strike, and the more skulls that are activated makes the mission way more harder. For example, I went back and finished this strike to get the strange coins on the hardest difficulty, and it was a breeze to get through compared to the Nightfall strike. And as you can see, the skulls on this strike are Epic, Light Switch, Angry, Solar Burn, and Nightfall, which I'll go ahead and tell you guys what all of the skulls names are and what they do. Skull Juggler's effect is no ammo drops for your equipped weapon. Skull Anger Issues effect is Minions of the Darkness display heightened aggression. Skull Angry's effect, Minions of the Darkness won't flinch even after massive damage. Skull Arc Burn effect, arc damage from any source is greatly increased. Skull's Solar Burn effect, solar damage from any source is greatly increased. Skull Void Burn effect is void damage from any source is greatly increased, which I'll get to Arc, Solar, and Void here in a minute and what they do. Skull Light Switch's effect is Minions of the Darkness deal much more melee damage. Skull Nightfall's effect, you will face a relentless army that has never known defeat. If all players die, you will be returned to orbit. This is what makes the Nightfall strike so freaking hard. Skull Heroic's effect is enemies appear in greater numbers and more aggressive. Skull Mythic's effect is heavily shielded and highly aggressive enemies appear in great numbers. Okay, so now since you guys know what the Skull's effects do, let's get to Arc, Solar, and Void damage. This is very important to know when facing through hard difficulties, especially the Nightfall strike. Each element is tied to a certain enemy, and their shields is that element. The red is Solar, the purple is Void, and the Arc are blue. Since the Solar Burn skull is on, that means a solar damage weapon is recommended, especially a solar damage sniper, because this will be very handy once we get to Nexus. Keep in mind to save these elemental weapons, especially these sniper rifles, because you want to keep your distances on the final bosses for any harder difficulty. Just note that the shields are not tied to a certain enemy. These just occur more commonly. The Fallen take arc damage, Hive takes solar damage, Vex normally take void damage, and Cabals normally take solar damage. This Nightfall strike normally just throws those rules out the window though. So make sure you guys do have elemental damage, because you are going to be running into these shielded enemies. And if you don't have the required elemental damage, these enemies are going to take little to no damage at all. Normally, elemental damage comes from special weapons and heavy weapons. There are some primary weapons that do have elemental damage, such as the Bad Juju, which is an exotic primary pulse rifle that shoots void elemental damage. Alright, so now since you guys know the basics of what you're going to be encountering, let's get into the mission. The very first part that you come across, you have to kill 3 servitors. Now this is the big stick in the ass to pass. This is actually one of the hardest parts in the mission. Nexus is going to be a piece of cake to kill, and you're going to find out why once we get there. Okay, so at the 3 servitors, your best bet is to camp back in this room that I am at right now. Now before heading out, you might want to make sure that you stock up on some special ammo and heavy ammo synthesis from the gunsmith. You want to try your best to take out the Fallen and Shanks first at this area, and then worry about the servitors, because either way you're going to have to kill all these enemies to get past this little area. If you don't, you're going to be struggling majorly to just run past, because there's a door that opens and tons of fallen enemies come out of that door. I came across a lot of solar and arc damage enemies at first, which the solar were the Shanks and the arc damage was the Fallen. Also, if you run out of ammo here while camping back in this room, keep in mind that it does regenerate. So if you run out of elemental ammo, just waste all of the ammo that you have left, even if you do know that you're not going to be doing much damage to the enemies, because the ammo does replenish, and that comes in handy when trying to knock out these elemental enemies. Okay, so once you get past this part, you're going to be coming up a flight of stairs, which this part is kind of difficult because they are invisible fallen. Just try to stick back before you enter this door and take out the enemies before entering this room. The next hard part you are going to be coming across are Vex enemies, which are normally void damage. They have the purple shields. This is a very difficult part because you're going to be coming across a few Minotaurs, and these Minotaurs are a big pain in the ass. Your best bet to knock out these Minotaurs is once you have taken out the shields, try to pop off its head as quick as you can, because if its head is popped off, the shield does not regenerate, which comes in handy because the most pain in the ass about these enemies are the shields. Once you have knocked out all of the Minotaurs at this area, the next part you're going to be coming across are a bunch of goblins, which this part is kind of nice in my opinion because it helps replenish your ammo here before you go ahead and fight Nexus, which Nexus is not going to be as hard as you would think if you have a hunter. The hunter is recommended when fighting Nexus, but you don't have to have the hunter. You don't have to use them. The hunter just helps out a ton here because there's this move that you get in the ability selection called Stalker, which what this move does is when you are crouching, after a minute you do turn invisible, which allows you to get a nice shot on Nexus while being invisible. This is when solar damage is useful because the Skull Solar Burn allows you to do more damage with the element solar. There is also a sniper rifle that you can get called Patience and Time, which is an exotic weapon, which what it does is when you're aiming down the sights, you turn invisible. You gain active camouflage. Okay, so once you get to Nexus and you take out a few Minotaurs here, you'll notice right when you drop down to your right, there are these ruins that you can hide behind. There's this little cubby hole that you can get in, and it has 2 exits on either side of the ruins. Entrances, exits, however you are looking at it. The point is, this place comes in major handy when fighting Nexus. None of the enemies can get to you back here. Also, not to mention, when someone in your fire team dies, it's easy to revive them back here. Unless you are more further out, then we're talking about another problem, because you have to risk it going out there. Here's another major tip. If someone dies way too far out there, and you can't go out of these ruins to revive them, the leader should boot that player out of here. Or the player can just back on out. Either way. It makes them come back to life and gives them a fresh start coming at this boss. If the leader has died somewhere far out there, just make sure the leader promotes someone else to leader before they quit out and rejoin. But yeah, just keep repeating the process here. Go invisible for a short amount of time and poke your head out, or just try to poke your head out and shoot at Nexus. Just keep repeating the process over and over. Once again, if you die too far out there, just quit and rejoin. This is your best bet when taking on the Nightfall strike, guys. This mission should be a breeze to get through if you follow these tips correctly. Keep in mind that you can use that quit and rejoin anywhere throughout this mission too. Keep in mind the rewards for completing this Nightfall strike are well worth it. You can get amazing gear and you get 500 Vanguard reputation. And not to mention, you get this thing called Radiant Light, which is badass because it makes your head on fire, but that is not the only thing that is awesome about this Radiant Light. What it does is it makes you get more XP, which is awesome, especially if you do patrol missions. You get extra reputation for doing the patrol missions, which you get about 12 reputation for the non-target patrol missions, and 60 reputation when turning in a plus 50 reputation mission, which this also affects leveling up your weapons, armor, and upgrades. And not to mention the rate of which you get the bonus motes of light. So yes, doing this weekly Nightfall strike is worth it, guys. But that's about wrapping up this video. If it was helpful, please remember to leave a like. It helps out a ton, and I am highly appreciated from the likes. The support I've been getting for my Destiny content has been amazing, and it's kept me motivated to keep pushing out these videos. They don't take me a short amount of time to finish, let's just say that much. And also, if you haven't, please be sure to subscribe for more Destiny's tips, tricks, secrets, news, Easter eggs, whatever I find out, I'll be throwing out at you guys. Thanks everyone for watching, and most importantly, thank you guys for your time. I'm out of here though. Peace. It has quite a bit of information on the exotic bounties, and I'm going to be bringing it all to you in this video. Alright, so let's get started.